Yeah, pretty much the same story continues.
Yeah, the same story with the same script, but the different narrative in terms of banks. That's the only change, if you frankly ask me. I mean, now rather than looking at 3:30, we should look at 6:30. That's the time.
Nice one.
So it's a much better idea to look at 6:30 rather than 3:30 today. That's the time the Chandrayaan landing hopefully would have been over. And I think in the market also everybody would be saying the same thing. Look at 3:30. Don't look at 3:30, look at 6:30. Look at the market. On an index of 65,000, you've seen a range of just about 1,000 points. You're not going to be in this range forever. But can you be in the extended range for another 10-15 days, Kunal? That's the point. Are we in this no trade zone? You don't have to trade for the sake of trading.
Correct.
And if you're in a no trade zone, you will find it difficult to make money both ways. So is it better off giving markets a skip and look at 6:30 or 3:30?
Yeah, I think for
6 or 5.
By the time the whole process would have finished and by the time we would have celebrated.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough, Nikunj. On assessment of the markets, it's not been a fair condition for the markets to try and trade and then garner trend. No, we've been, I think, correcting some 700 points, 600 points on the Nifty, and that's happened over the last 20 trading sessions. So, that average of that is very, very small when you look at it on a regular basis. But I think the action is more towards the mid caps and small caps. Even on a day like today, yes, the Bank Nifty has done exceptionally well, but you see the slew of mid caps and small caps outperforming, showing signs of double-digit gains, and the number is succeeding day by day. So I think that's where a short-term trader would be focusing on. 50-point gain on the Nifty, I would still not be too much enthused into converting the sell call towards maybe squaring off. My indicators, the indicators on the daily charts are still into a negative territory for the index, the Nifty, that's specifically. So I would still maintain that negative stance on the Nifty. However, no negative stance on the Bank Nifty. That's what I've maintained.
Vinay, hi, afternoon. Do you also see that there could be a meaningful comeback in the offing for banks, begun their move today?
Yeah, so breadth of the market is quite positive. Nifty mid-cap index is at all-time high. Small-cap index is at the highest point of the current rally. And advanced decline ratio. So these indicators are giving a lot of opportunities to the traders, and breadth is very strong. And the Nifty is just few points away from its breakout point, 19,500, which we have, where we saw call writing in last few days. So 19,500 is a strong resistance. There is a downward sloping trend line also. So once we see Nifty sustaining above 19,500, then we can see focus shifting towards the large cap also. And some stocks are showing strength today in large cap segment also. So I am expecting a breakout sooner than later. It will happen today or tomorrow, but 19,500 is very near, and I'm expecting that breakout will come on the upside only. And once that 19,500 will be taken out, I think after that we can expect immediate movement of 200 to 300 points on the upside. So yes, I am bullish on the market looking at the scenario, and derivative point of view also, we have not seen any negative development in last 3 days, and markets were consolidating, and it is about to break out on the higher side only.
Right, okay. Let's also welcome on board Sudip Bandyopadhyay, find out what he's making of the market. Sudip, I know it's all roads today lead to the moon. Hopefully, fingers crossed on that one. And the market as well is not doing a whole lot, right? What's the message out there? Don't try and be brave. Don't try and trade just about every day or make a move every day in the market. Just sit tight on your investments.
Well, Aisha, the way I look at it, market has did quite a bit over the last few months. I think we need to give time for the market to consolidate a bit also. Of course, there is a accumulation of multiple factors in US interest rates going up, particularly 10-year yield moving up has led to a little bit of risk aversion amongst global investors. And in the month of August, they have been pulling some money out of India. Emerging market funds are not getting the kind of inflows they were getting globally. India dedicated funds still are getting inflows, but much lower compared to what they were getting in the month of June, July this year earlier. So obviously there's a little bit of profit booking, or you can say less investments coming into India from outside. That has led to a bit of a consolidation in our markets. It may not be a bad thing for the markets to consolidate after having moved up so much. The breakout probably will come only when there are fresh triggers, And those triggers can come out of Jackson Hole meeting, commentary of US Fed chair on Friday, or it can happen with news of concrete news of monsoons, good progress, and delivering the right amount of rainfall across the country so that the cultivation of the next round of crops doesn't suffer. Some good news have to come to the market before we can decisively move up. I also must mention the China factor here. While today we have seen some excitement around metals in the expectation of stimulus coming in China, but the fact remains the challenges in China are humongous. And if Chinese economy doesn't do well, and actually, Chinese economy, there is a major challenge. I think it doesn't augur well for the world economy. And in turn, I think India also will have a little bit of challenges here and there. We will probably be the least affected economy because of China's challenges. But still, I think we will have the headwinds in multiple sectors. We have seen what's happening in chemicals and specialty chemicals. We have seen what happens in metals when Chinese markets are down, and a whole lot of other things will face challenges. Yes, we will have better input costs for our manufacturing industry by and large, but the challenges will be there. So I think a bit of consolidation, bit of pause is what is happening in the market at this stage, and it may not be bad from a medium to long-term point of view.
Okay, that's only power. Suzlon, JP Power, Ratan India Power, you got Reliance Power. Seriously, these are companies, some of them don't have operating units. I'm not getting into details of it, but they don't have operating units. And when that happens, you got to say that that 440 power where you need to have the danger sign outside. Okay, I'm not done with the list. Suzlon, JP Power, you've got Reliance Power, you've got price action, which is there even in GVK. Now, some of these companies, in a sense, have gone through the NCLT route. They don't exist. There is no operational capacity. But markets are markets. There can be sometimes excitement. There can be mania. There can be euphoria. I think right now there is this lot of FOMO which is there in the power sector. So, fundamentally, what's the logic in buying power now? Or power stocks, rather?
Well, I won't buy any of the stocks probably which you are discussing, but I find a strong logic in buying an NTPC or a Tata Power. NTPC being the largest power utility in the country, and they have pivoted very well from a traditional energy to also a green energy power generator. They have fantastic back-end and front-end integration, and the performance has been consistently improving. The price also has moved up. No doubt about that. But if somebody is taking a long-term view, power is, as you rightly said, it's a utility. It's an annuity business, and the way they are pivoting towards green energy, I think, does augur well. Of course, there is a possibility of spin-off and corporate restructuring whereby value can be unlocked. And I think NTPC, that's the reason why it has been on my list for a long time, and I continue to keep it in my list for a buy for a long-term hold. Tata Power also pretty much the same thing has happened. The pivot for the green energy, new energy is happening. They are moving rapidly in that direction. A bit of challenges which they faced in the previous years are to an extent thing of the past. So yes, at current level for a 1 year plus hold, even Tata Power is good. I won't buy GVK Power, Reliance Power, and some of the other stocks you mentioned. I will not get into those speculative realm.
Let's shift focus to the countdown. It's less than 3.5 hours to the moon landing for Chandrayaan-3. Let's see where it goes today. Fingers crossed on that one. But did you know that a lot of Indian companies and a lot of startups as well are in focus with the government's now push aiding this particular sector? So let me take it across to Sharad and get us the entire picture on which are the startups which have actually contributed to Chandrayaan-3. Sharad?
Well, yes, in focus we are having the Indian space agencies as well as the startups, and the most important thing is the increased focus coming on the satellite launch services. Now, the important thing which is the synergies which will be there between the startups as well as ISRO is the costing part, and of course more technical collaborations are expected to happen. And whenever there is a better costing for the projects, then the entire mission cost, they come down. And do remember, they come at a fraction of cost of what the international agencies offer. And overall, even the government push has been there coming for the space tech. And the question arises, how has the funding been there for the space techs? And over the years, if we see, the funding has actually picked up. And from 2020, there were only just 21 odd startups in the space tech space, and now that has increased to almost 150 startups till date of 2023. And in the funding numbers also, you look at it, it has been very promising, and currently almost $200 million plus of funding has been seen over the last 18 odd months. Now, apart from the funding, there are certain startups also which are there in this space, which I would like to mention, and these are the names which are there in the small cap as well as the mid cap categories. If you would like to say, the valuations are less than $50 million, and the names include Pixel, Skyroot Aerospace, Satshore, Agnicool Cosmos, as well as Dhruva Space.
Okay, and that's not it. You've got a couple of listed companies as well, which have had a fair contribution in the Chandrayaan mission. Sharad, highlight that for us.
Looking at the listed space, it's a very interesting numbers coming in, and of course the Indian Space Association is something which I'd like to point out. There are stocks such as L&T, Walchand Nagar, Bharti Airtel, which are there a part of it, but there are certain stocks also which have been a part of the Chandrayaan missions, in the previous missions as well as the current mission. And if you look at it, L&T, of course, the stock is also trading at its lifetime high levels. They have also provided services throughout the entire processes, and also the stocks such as MTAR Tech and HAL, they have also provided propulsion engines and also various types of components. In the small cap names also, we have Centum Electronics, roughly 300 to 500 odd components coming in for the Indian space mission. And of course, at last, there is also an auto ancillary company, Sundaram Fasteners, where they have actually provided fasteners in the previous launch as well.
Okay. Very interesting, but in terms of a needle moving event, I'm not so sure what the needle moving event is for individual companies. But in terms of a technology prowess, this clearly takes Indian space program right up there. And ISRO, by the way, has done some remarkable engineering work in terms of also using their entire base to launch satellite for other countries. So this, in a sense, what started as an idea then became a mission, and now has become really the envy of the world in terms of achieving a engineering marvel. This is nothing short of an engineering marvel. In terms of implications for listed companies, well, it may not be very large, but in terms of establishing the supremacy and authority of what Indian space missions can do and what ISRO actually can achieve, I think this just takes you on a different kind of a pedestal positioning and also global respect now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any contribution is good enough. But let's just move on and let's just track some of the other names which are in focus today. And quite a few of these broader market contenders are sitting at a 52-week high. So look at Poly Medicure, for instance. There is an Investec note as well. They've initiated a buy on this one. Target price put at 1690. They're saying that it's set for a strong earnings trajectory, new therapies, US ramp up. It's going to only drive growth diversification for them. And they plan to expand capacity, strong execution track record, which Investec believes is only going to aid growth for them. Right now, though, the stock has come off quite considerably from the top of the day after hitting that record high. It's now also, tempered down 0.5% higher is where that it is. Linde India, that's also been a buzz. It's hit a 52-week high once again. It's been awarded a letter of acceptance by Indian Oil Co. for setting up of the air separation unit within its Panipat refinery complex. So that as well is one stock which has been buzzing quite a fair bit. And then Hindalco, which is one amongst the top gainers within the index, they're looking to invest about 2,000 crore rupees to set up a copper and e-waste recycling unit in the country. That's the other stock which is buzzing quite a fair bit, about almost a 3% bump up actually coming in on Hindalco. On that note, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, lots more lined up on the other side. But let's talk about food. And Nikunj, on the special series that you kick-started with your interaction with Bajaj Auto and Bharat Forge. Eating now on the go. We went also on a food expedition in
I was
Pune.
working.
You
Patricia
were
was
working
eating.
while Patricia was busy tasting extremely great food to explore all the tastes that define the vibrant city that is Pune. So from traditional Maharashtrian food to iconic bakeries, we kicked off this journey, in fact, with Marzurin, which is one of the oldest cafes in the city. Let's take a look.
Today, we're diving headfirst into the heart and soul of Pune. Known as the Oxford of the East, this city is as diverse as it's vibrant. Let's kick off this food journey at Marzurin, a charming bakery that has been serving delectable treats for generations. This super cool bakery has a history as sweet as its pastries. So let's go on a tasty time travel. So today we have with us Mr. Jamshed Sheriarji, the owner of Marzurin, that is housed in a building that's over 200 years old. Hi, Mr. Jamshed. You know, Marzurin is one of the oldest cafes in the city. What kind of role do you think it has played in the food culture, and how has it evolved over the years?
Well, we are one of the oldest. I presume we must have had some influence with regards to the cafe culture in Pune, as well as to what people expect in terms of a menu for a QSR or a cafe, sandwiches and so on and so forth. My mother initially had started her own cake exhibition when Christmas time. Christmas time actually in Pune used to be very dull back in the 80s.
Okay.
Then me and my mother used to make cake decorations, decorated cakes.
So let's try some of the items on the menu.
Certainly, please.
So tell me something more about what we're going to have today.
We'll be having cold coffee,
Okay.
chutney sandwiches, and new pizzas.
Okay. So what is in these pizzas?
Our pizzas, again, we make everything else ourselves from the base to basically, other than
From
the
the
cheese.
bread.
From the bread onwards, it's baked daily in our ovens.
Okay.
Freshly made and then made to order in our pizza oven. And it is a very tasty item. We have had very good reviews about it. And we give it at a very reasonable rate. The mini pizzas go for 50 for the veg, and right now 60 for the chicken.
And the cold coffees?
The cold coffee goes for 90, and it's our second most popular item on the menu after our chutney sandwich.
You're right, it is value for money. I mean,
Thank you.
it's 90 rupees these days. You don't get much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our chutney sandwiches are at 50 rupees. They are our most popular item by far.
Okay.
And the recipe hasn't changed since we began it in 1965.
The chutney recipe.
It's exactly the same. The cold coffee is exactly the same.
So where does the sweetness come from? Like, do you put sugar in it? Or
That's
is
all a trade secret. And honestly, it's not that different from a standard pudina chutney recipe,
Yeah.
but there are one, two things that are the secret sauce, so to speak, to the recipe.
So what do people pair the chutney
Generally, they
sandwich
go for
with?
a plate of chutney sandwich and a plate of buttery cheese sandwiches. And they like to double decorate, so they get a bit of cheesy flavor along with the chutney.
So what kind of pizzas do you offer?
We basically have two varieties. It's all a mini.
Wanna
We
try?
are a fast food QSR. So we try to ensure we only have two items actually on the menu, mini veg and mini chicken. But if customer wants some additional topping in terms of more chili
Okay.
or more oregano, we can give that to them as well.
So if we had to take some things back to Bombay, what would you recommend?
To Bombay,
Yeah.
I would just suggest, I wouldn't recommend the sandwiches. We generally don't recommend people traveling too long if they don't have a refrigeration or something of that nature. So most people go for our plain cakes like chocolate chip cake or plum cake,
Okay.
or some of our macaroons or cookies, as well as our biscuits. And of course, they can always pack a cold coffee on the way, so to speak.
Thank you so much. This has been a treat.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
The sandwiches were great. The pizza is yum. And the cold coffee, I think, is the highlight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
back with closing trades right here in ET now. Still just about consolidating, hovering around that 19,440, 19,500 odd kind of range for us. Sun TV, Federal Bank, RBL as well has jumped up in trade. In fact, banks are making a meaningful comeback after many days of underperformance. So even amidst the large caps, you have an Axis, SBI, ICICI Bank, they're all perking up and sitting at the session highs. But a couple of stocks are getting beaten down as well. And market watchdog SEBI, remember, has released a second interim order into Brightcom Group's preferential allotment issue. In fact, my colleague Ankur Mishra joins in with all the latest here. Ankur?
Yes, it is first time that a regulator has issued an order in the same matter 2 times, and this interim order was earlier issued 3 to 4 months back, and now once again the regulator has prohibited CEO as well as CFO from holding any position in any of the listed companies, and this is done because there has been alleged irregularities by the reporting which has been done by the company. In fact, the responses which were given by the company still does not satisfy the regulator, and there is a prima facie findings that wrongdoing has been done as far as the reporting of financials by the company, and there is a problem in the allotment of shares as far as preferential allotment is concerned. Now, these are not the only persons who are affected by the order. Shankar Sharma is also one of the person who is named in the order, and he is also prohibited from selling the company shares till the time this order is disposed of. In a response to interim order, both company as well as Shankar Sharma has said that they have seen the order, and in fact Shankar Sharma has specifically mentioned in a social media handle that they have submitted the responses to the regulator and awaiting the legal due course in time.
Right, Ankur, thanks a lot for that. Bharat Forge is the other one which has done exceptionally well. We interacted with the management, and they're indicating to us that the cyclical recovery in the business, or the cyclical nature of the business, seems to be changing. They're moving into defense and things are looking up. Sudip, at 1,000 rupees, do you think markets are already pricing in this turnaround of business, this expansion of Bharat Forge into defense and aviation?
Not yet, Kunj. In fact, I think last or couple of interactions back, I had mentioned on your channel that instead of chasing the traditional defense names, which are fantastic companies, they have appreciated really well and have rewarded the shareholders. This is the time to probably look at other pockets, and Bharat Forge definitely comes out there. They have a defense business inside the company. We only talk about US larger truck demand when we talk about Bharat Forge performance. While that also has been improving, we probably miss the defense part, and because there is so much of excitement on defense sector in India, and Make in India and defense is a reality, we should look at Bharat Forge also as a defense play, amongst others as a defense play, and accordingly try and value Bharat Forge. So on that parameter, Bharat Forge does stand out, and the overall performance of the company is increasing. And I would probably recommend an investor to even buy Bharat Forge at current level. Remember, they need to hold it for some time. It's not that they should immediately expect massive appreciation, but it's a long-term good story. The controversy around Haikal and all that is just a sideshow. It doesn't affect Bharat Forge as such. So no need to get perturbed with the kind of controversy surrounding Haikal and the fight between Bharat Forge promoters and the Haikal promoters.
Right. Okay, Sudip, great to have you on the show. Glad as always that you could take time out and join in. Look out for what's happening on Sun TV, because that's really on a tear, 5% higher. There was a Motilal Oswal note earlier today, recommending a buy rating on the stock with a target price of 630, 569 is where the stock is. So still pretty much a fair amount of upside in the stock is what the note is indicating. They're saying that they are looking at higher PE in terms of FY25 multiple. They're saying that, they're pretty, upbeat about the valuation for the new IPL team at the recently concluded auction, and that makes the stock valuation pretty compelling as well. But that said, let's get some closing trades as well going. Kunal, on your list?
So Havells is something which looks attractive. The stock is at 1340 odd mark, and it's now on the verge of breakout of a huge pennant formation, which has been going on since the last 2 years for the stock. So that's a stock which I look to buy.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the last half an hour of today's trade.